In the blossoming spring, the university campus is filled with the smell of youth. The sunlight dappled through the tender green leaves on the walking path, bringing a touch of warmth. It is on such a vibrant day that the destinies of Chloe and Timothy are intertwined. Chloe, a lively and cheerful girl, always with a smile on her face. Her laughter is like the wind in spring, which can blow away all the gloom. She loves life and is full of curiosity and desire to explore the world. Timothy, on the other hand, is a steady boy. His eyes are deep and firm, always giving people a sense of peace of mind. He is good at thinking and has a clear plan for the future. The two meet like a classic scene from a movie. That day, Chloe was looking for a book on psychology in the library, and Timothy happened to be there. When their eyes met, it was as if time stood still. Chloe's cheerfulness contrasted sharply with Timothy's steadiness, but it was this difference that made them become interested in each other. Since then, the two began to communicate frequently. They discussed academic issues together and shared interesting things in their lives. In the course of spending time together, they discovered many common interests and values. They both enjoy traveling, photography, and tasting various cuisines. They both believe that family is the most important support in life, and both aspire to build a cozy little home. As time passes, their relationship grows stronger, with Timothy being attracted to Chloe's passion and energy, and Chloe appreciating Timothy's stability and intelligence. They begin to plan for the future together, discussing their direction and life plans after graduation. Finally, one day, Timothy got up the courage to ask Chloe to marry him. He took Chloe to a small garden on campus on a romantic evening where colorful lights and balloons filled the air with the scent of roses. The garden was filled with colorful lights and balloons, and the air was filled with the scent of roses. Timothy got down on one knee, pulled out a sparkling diamond ring, and looked at Chloe with deep emotion and said, "Will you marry me?" Chloe was deeply touched by the scene in front of her. With tears of happiness shining in her eyes, she nodded her head and said yes to Timothy's proposal. The two of them hugged each other tightly, feeling each other's warmth and heartbeat. At the beginning of Chloe and Timothy's marriage, they were immersed in the sweetness and longing of their new marriage. However, with the passage of time, they gradually felt the discordant notes of each other's character. Chloe, the girl who was known for her vivaciousness and cheerfulness during her college days, still maintains her love for life and pursuit of happiness after marriage. She is passionate about attending all kinds of parties, loves to share laughter with friends, and her life is always full of sunshine and vitality. In contrast, Timothy's character is more introverted and serious. He is always thoughtful and has his own plans and expectations for life and the future. He prefers a quiet, stable lifestyle and is less inclined to frequent social activities. In his opinion, family is a cozy haven, a place for him to relax and rest. This difference in personality is gradually emphasized in the married life. Whenever Chloe proposes to go out to a party or an event, Timothy always seems a bit reluctant. He prefers to stay at home and enjoy the peace and solitude. Chloe's jokes and humor sometimes touch Timothy's serious nerves and make him feel uncomfortable. At first, these minor differences did not cause much problem. However, as time goes by, these differences are magnified in their daily routines and gradually turn into a series of frictions, with Chloe's enthusiasm and energy becoming too much for Timothy, and Timothy's stability and introversion becoming too dull for Chloe. Once, Chloe excitedly invites a group of friends over for a house party, and she prepares food and music in anticipation of a fun evening with everyone. However, when Timothy came home from work and saw a house full of strangers, his brow couldn't help but furrow. He silently walks into the study and closes the door, trying to get away from the hustle and bustle. Chloe's enthusiasm is doused with cold water by Timothy's indifference, and she is left feeling a little embarrassed and puzzled. Similar scenarios play out throughout their lives, as Chloe's need for socialization contrasts with Timothy's introverted nature, a difference that leads to disagreements on many issues. For example, Chloe would like to have frequent gatherings at home, while Timothy prefers to keep the family private. Chloe likes to joke and banter, while Timothy is more concerned with the rigor and propriety of her speech. These differences and disagreements gradually evolved into friction between them. They began to argue over such trivial matters, And although they reconciled after each argument, the rift in their hearts grew wider. Chloe felt that her passions were ignored and neglected, while Timothy felt that his lifestyle and values were being challenged. Their wedding was held on campus on a sunny day, where friends and family gathered to witness their happy moment. Their friends and family gathered to witness their happy moment, Chloe in her white wedding dress, as beautiful as an angel, and Timothy in his handsome suit, with a happy smile on his face. They walked into the marriage hall hand in hand with the blessing of their friends and family. Chloe and Timothy's marriage has entered a delicate phase. The minor frictions caused by personality differences have not yet been resolved at all, but both parties are trying to maintain the relationship on the basis of mutual respect. However, fate doesn't seem to intend to let them pass through this period smoothly, and a misunderstanding is about to trigger a crisis of trust. At a social gathering, the atmosphere was warm and cheerful, and Chloe, dressed in a gorgeous gown, was all smiles as she mingled with her friends. She was always the center of attention at the party, and her humor and wit always livened up the atmosphere. Just as everyone was laughing, Chloe suddenly wanted to make a joke. In a playful tone, she said, "You know, I recently discovered a new loyalty test. Supposedly, by sending your partner to a seductive environment, you can tell if he's loyal to you." It was supposed to be an insignificant joke, but Timothy, who was present at the meeting, heard it with intent. With a twitch in his mind and a slight frown on his brow, he couldn't help but start thinking about the meaning behind Chloe's comment. Was she implying that she had been unfaithful to her? Or did she already have some sort of misgivings? Unease and suspicion began to well up within Timothy. He recalled recent subtle changes in Chloe, such as her occasional silence, or her avoidance of certain topics. These details gradually magnified in his mind, and they all seemed to point to a truth he didn't want to face. However, Chloe didn't realize that her joke had touched Timothy's sensitive nerve. As she continued to laugh and enjoy the party with her friends, Timothy was deep in thought, his doubts growing like weeds. After the party, Timothy and Chloe returned home. He tried to open his mouth to ask Chloe about the real meaning of that joke, but the words came out of his mouth and he swallowed them back. He didn't want his suspicions to ruin the harmony between them, but his inner doubts were like a thorn in his heart. Over the next few days, Timothy begins to secretly observe Chloe's every move. He notices that she occasionally receives mysterious phone calls late at night and that her cell phone is password protected. These details add to the suspicion in his mind, and he begins to wonder if Chloe is truly loyal to him. However, Chloe knows nothing of this. She continues to live her life as usual, occasionally going out with her friends and enjoying the pleasures of a social life. What she doesn't realize is that her jokes have triggered a crisis of trust within Timothy. As time passes, Timothy's suspicions deepen and he begins to feel an inexplicable detachment from Chloe. He begins to feel an inexplicable detachment from Chloe, and their relationship grows cold. Chloe senses the change, but she doesn't know why. After a series of turmoil, Chloe and Timothy's marriage is on the brink of collapse. With the lack of trust, their relationship deteriorates rapidly, and the old warmth and understanding seems to disappear overnight. The doubts in Timothy's mind are snowballing, and he can't let go of them. Whenever he sees Chloe coming home late at night or avoiding himself when she answers the phone, an indescribable uneasiness wells up inside him. This uneasiness gradually evolved into suspicion and even jealousy. He begins to secretly look through Chloe's cell phone, trying to find evidence that she might be betraying him. And Chloe senses a change in Timothy. She realizes that her husband is becoming more and more cold and even begins to doubt himself. She tries to explain, tries to rebuild trust, but every effort seems so powerless in the face of Timothy's suspicion. She felt as if she was trapped in a vicious cycle from which there was no escape. Finally, one day, they sat down and tried to communicate. However, the conversation did not have the desired effect. Timothy's suspicions and accusations were too much for Chloe to bear, and she retorted, "How can you distrust me like this? Is the love between us so unbearable?" Timothy, in turn, responded angrily, "How can you make me trust you? How can I trust you with your behavior?" This conversation ended in an argument between the two parties. They tried to work things out, but obviously failed. The lack of trust had already put their marriage on the rocks, and the argument exacerbated the deterioration of the relationship. As time passes, both Chloe and Timothy realize that their marriage is beyond repair. They begin to consider divorce and ending the marriage that has fallen apart. This decision was not easy for them because they had once loved each other deeply, but now that love had soured and could not continue. One silent night, Chloe and Timothy sat down together again. This time, instead of arguing, they talked calmly about their divorce. They admitted that their trust in each other had been lost and that the marriage was no longer viable. After deep conversation and reflection, they finally decided to get a divorce, ending a marriage that could no longer be repaired. "I think we should give each other a chance to start over," Chloe said softly, tears glistening in her eyes. Timothy was silent for a moment, then nodded, "Yes, maybe it's for the best." Chloe walks down the familiar streets of her town and feels as if the atmosphere around her has become foreign. Ever since the news of her divorce from Timothy spread, she seemed to be the center of attention. Neighbors who had once greeted her warmly now looked at her with a strange look in their eyes. "Chloe, I heard you and Timothy got divorced?" a familiar voice asked, and Chloe turned to see an old friend of many years. "Yes, we've decided to separate," Chloe replied softly, trying to read the real attitude in the other's eyes. There was a flash of surprise in her old friend's eyes, but it was quickly replaced by a mixed emotion. "Chloe, The other party seemed to want to say something, but in the end, they just sighed and turned away. Chloe knows that this is just the beginning. As the news of the divorce spread through the town, so did all kinds of gossip. Some say she was unfaithful to her marriage. Others say Timothy couldn't stand her behavior, and still others say the couple's relationship has long been in name only. These rumors blew like a gust of wind through every corner of the town. Whenever Chloe walks down the street, she can feel the whispers and strange looks. She began to reflect on her own behavior. Did she really do something wrong? Did some of her actions start these rumors? She began to feel lonely, and those who had been her friends and acquaintances seemed to be distancing themselves from her. The social pressure was like a mountain weighing her down. She even began to wonder if she was really fit to remain in this town. However, whenever such thoughts came to her mind, she remembered all those good times she had spent here. This town had witnessed her growth, her love, and her marriage, and there were memories and attachments here. Was she really willing to leave? Chloe decided to brave the gossip. She knew that no matter what she did, there would always be people talking and judging, but she didn't want to let these rumors affect her life anymore. She began to reach out to those who had misunderstood her and tried to explain the real reason for her divorce from Timothy. However, this is not an easy task. The rumor mill has taken hold, and her explanations are often met with superficial nods, while internal prejudices are hard to dispel. Chloe understands that it will take time, and that she will need to prove her innocence and goodness with sincerity and action. In the process, Chloe also begins to reflect more deeply on her own behavior. She realizes that the breakdown of her marriage is not just Timothy's problem. She herself is to blame. She begins to work on herself, hoping that she can become a better person, someone more worthy of being loved and respected. In the face of loneliness and social pressure, Chloe chooses to be strong and brave. She knew that this was her chance to grow up and take a fresh look at herself and her life. She decides not to be swayed by rumors, but to live her life on her own terms and pursue her own happiness. After a change in her marriage and small-town gossip, Chloe realized that she needed to find a new direction for her life, one that would allow her to rediscover herself and rebuild her confidence. So she made an important decision: to go back to college to continue her education and find those dreams and possibilities of her youth. On a college campus, Chloe feels a sense of energy and freedom that she hasn't felt in a long time. There is no one to point fingers at her past, no one to look at her in a different way. Everyone is busy with their studies and dreams, and the atmosphere makes Chloe feel at ease. She chose some courses that interested her, from literature to art, from history to psychology. She was eager to swim in this sea of knowledge and find those dreams buried by marriage and family chores. In class, she listened attentively, actively participated in discussions, and enjoyed the fun of learning. In college, Chloe also starts to make new friends. She met students from different backgrounds with different stories and dreams, and as they studied and discussed and shared their life experiences and insights, Chloe found that these new friends gave her new perspectives and ways of thinking. Studying, discussing, and sharing their life experiences and insights, Chloe found that these new friends brought her new perspectives and ways of thinking and made her world a more colorful place. In addition to her studies, Chloe began to explore her interests and potential. She joined the photography club on campus to learn how to capture the beautiful moments in life. She also tried her hand at painting and ceramics and realized that she had some talent and interest in these fields as well. These new endeavors are exciting and fulfilling for Chloe, and she feels that she is gradually finding her independent, confident self. As time goes by, Chloe's life at the university is becoming more and more fulfilling. Not only did she excel academically, but she also showed her talent in various club activities. Her photographs won awards in campus exhibitions, and her ceramics were selected to be displayed in the Campus Art Festival. These accomplishments have given Chloe a sense of pride and fulfillment, and she feels she is on her way to a whole new future. Of course, Chloe knows that the path is not easy. She needs to face all kinds of challenges and difficulties, but she is ready for it. She believes that as long as she sticks to her dream and hard work, she will be able to walk out a wonderful life of her own. During her time in college, Chloe not only found a new direction in life, but also rediscovered herself. She learned how to face past hurts and setbacks and how to bravely pursue her dreams. She knows that there is still a long road ahead, but she is ready for all challenges and opportunities. College classes are always filled with curiosity and youthful energy, and Chloe found a sense of peace and belonging here that she hadn't felt in a long time. On this day, she sat in the middle of the classroom as usual, listening intently to the professor explaining the psychology course. Suddenly, a male figure sat down next to her. Fred? Fred is a sunny and handsome boy, always with a smile on his face, giving people a warm and affectionate feeling. At first, they were just ordinary classmates, occasionally exchanging a few words of learning in class. But as time goes by, Fred's passion and sincerity gradually breaks down the defenses in Chloe's heart. Fred has a deep interest in psychology and often shares his unique insights into the subject with Chloe. The two found common ground not only in academics, but also in their daily lives. They began attending study groups together, exploring various issues, and sharing their life experiences with each other. In the process, Fred's humor and attentiveness made Chloe feel more relaxed and happy than ever before. However, Chloe also realizes that Fred's feelings for her seem to go beyond the realm of ordinary friends. He would make it a point to wait for her after class and walk the tree-lined paths of the campus together, would help her with chores when she was busy, and would comfort her when she was lost. This kind of intimacy made Chloe feel a warmth she hadn't felt in a long time, but at the same time, it also made her feel uneasy. Fred's feelings become clearer, and he confesses his feelings to Chloe under the moonlight after a study group meeting. He says that he likes Chloe's resilience and independence, and that she maintains her love of life despite her setbacks. His words touched Chloe, but at the same time left her in deep conflict. Chloe has just gone through a failed marriage, and she seems extremely cautious about committing to a relationship again. She is afraid that she will be hurt again, and that Fred is only approaching her because of her loneliness and vulnerability. Therefore, in the face of Fred's confession, she chooses to remain silent and avoid it. Fred doesn't give up. He understands Chloe's hesitation and concern. He began to take care of her more carefully and proved his sincerity with practical actions. He will appear in time when she needs help, will accompany her when she is lonely, and will listen patiently when she needs to talk. His persistence and sincerity make Chloe start to re-examine her relationship and future. However, Chloe's heart is still full of struggles. She knows that she needs time to heal the wounds of her past and time to test Fred's sincerity. Therefore, she decides to maintain an on-again, off-again relationship with Fred, neither completely rejecting him nor accepting him. She hopes that during this time together, she will be able to get to know Fred more deeply and recognize her own heart more clearly. Fred's appearance brings new color and hope to Chloe's life, but it also confronts her with new choices and challenges. She knows she can't make a decision in a hurry, as matters of relationships require careful consideration and the verification of time. Therefore, she chooses to wait and watch patiently, hoping to find her own answer in the days to come. Over time, the relationship between Chloe and Fred deepens. Their classroom interactions no longer satisfy their desire to know more about each other, so they begin to meet in secret. At first, these meetings were casual and brief, perhaps in a remote corner of the library or in a secluded garden somewhere on campus. But as their feelings warmed up, their meetings became more frequent and longer. Whenever night falls, Fred would quietly come to Chloe's place and they would stroll under the moonlight, sharing with each other the joys and sorrows in their hearts. These secret moments made them feel closer and happier than ever. However, at the same time, Chloe is filled with conflict and struggle. She knows that her relationship with Fred is heading in a dangerous direction. After all, she has just gone through a failed marriage and is both eager and scared about getting emotionally involved again. She worries that the relationship will have unforeseen consequences for her. Whenever she was with Fred, a feeling of guilt would always well up inside her. She felt sorry for her ex-husband and for those who had cared and supported her. She was afraid that her choice would hurt more people, including Fred. And Fred senses Chloe's hesitation and fear. He tries to ease her worries with tenderness and care, telling her that they will face all the challenges ahead together. However, the weight in Chloe's heart does not ease. During a late-night meeting, Chloe finally opens up to Fred. She tells him about her worries and fears and how confused she is about the relationship. Fred listens in silence for a long time, then holds her hand tightly and tells her that no matter what happens in the future, he will always be there for her. However, Chloe knows that they are facing more than just emotional problems with each other. There are also societal pressures, family expectations, and her own internal struggles. She doesn't know if her relationship with Fred will survive these trials, or if she will have the courage to face the challenges ahead. These secret meetings and internal struggles leave Chloe feeling exhausted. She began to wonder if she should end the relationship and return to her otherwise peaceful life. However, every time she thought of separating from Fred, her heart ached like it was being torn apart. In the midst of this conflict and entanglement, Chloe began to seek outside help. She had an in-depth conversation with a counselor in an attempt to find a solution to her inner distress. The counselor told her that it was important to face her true feelings, but also to consider future consequences and responsibilities. Under the guidance of her counselor, Chloe begins to re-examine her relationship with Fred. She realizes that their feelings for each other are real and deep, but they also need more time and space to develop and mature. She decides to slow down and give each other more time to understand and think. Although the decision was painful and upsetting for Chloe, she knew it was the responsible thing to do for both herself and Fred. She hopes that their relationship will stand the test of time and eventually lead to a bright future. As Chloe and Fred's relationship heats up, shadows creep in. Although Chloe and Timothy are divorced, certain shared possessions and responsibilities still hold them together, notably the house they once shared, which is still unspecified for the time being. Timothy, after accidentally learning of his ex-wife Chloe's affair with Fred, feels betrayed like never before. With the flame of revenge burning in his heart, he decides to use the house, which has not yet been divided, to orchestrate an elaborate trap. One day, Timothy informs Chloe that he will be traveling for a short period of time for work and asks her to help look after some important items in the house. Out of her past trust as a couple, Chloe agreed without hesitation. After Timothy's departure, Chloe sees it as the perfect opportunity to spend time with Fred. After all, it's been a long time since they've had some quality time together. However, she doesn't realize that Timothy has secretly installed hidden cameras in the house before he leaves. Just as Chloe and Fred were getting together, cameras silently recorded their every move. And it was all part of Timothy's plan. Soon after, Timothy returns unexpectedly, claiming that there has been a temporary change in travel plans. He opens the door to his room and sees Chloe and Fred together, but he doesn't snap on the spot. Instead, Timothy opted for more sinister tactics. He secretly called the police and accused Chloe and Fred of possessing illegal drugs in his house. The police quickly arrived and searched the house. Timothy's covert maneuvering led to the accidental discovery of the so-called illegal drugs. Chloe and Fred are shocked by this sudden turn of events. They immediately realize that this is Timothy's revenge, but are unable to prove their innocence immediately. They are taken away by the police for further investigation, and the town is abuzz with the incident. After Timothy's trap and the ensuing legal turmoil, Chloe and Fred's lives were thrown into chaos and uncertainty for a while. But instead of giving up, they chose to face it bravely and work hand in hand to get through it. After a series of investigations and forensics, Chloe and Fred are finally cleared of possession of illegal drugs and regain their freedom. This experience makes them cherish each other even more and makes them realize the importance of love and responsibility. After regaining her freedom, Chloe decided to continue her educational journey. She knew that only through continuous learning and self-improvement could she better face the challenges ahead. Fred was always by her side, giving her endless support and encouragement. Their relationship has become more stable after the storm, and their trust and reliance on each other has become deeper. Meanwhile, Chloe and Timothy have had numerous negotiations over child custody. Although their relationship has broken down, they are both willing to put aside their preconceived notions and communicate with their children as their focus for the sake of their children's future and well-being. After many discussions and compromises, Chloe and Timothy finally reached a custody agreement. They decided to share the responsibility of raising their children, and although there is still tension between them, they are both willing to remain respectful and understanding for the sake of their children. As time goes by, Chloe and Fred's relationship becomes more stable. They begin to plan for the future and discuss creating a cozy family together. And as Chloe's children come to accept Fred's presence, they begin to live together as a family. In the process, Chloe not only continues her educational journey, but also begins to try to get back into the workforce. Through her efforts, she hopes to create a better living environment for her children and Fred. Fred, in turn, always supports her decision, and they face life's challenges and difficulties together. After all the ups and downs, Chloe and Fred cherish their present life even more. They understand that only through continuous efforts and perseverance can they move towards a better future. Their story also tells us that no matter how many difficulties and challenges they encounter, as long as they have love and faith in their hearts, they will be able to overcome everything. At the end of the story, we can't help but marvel at Chloe and Fred's resilience and courage. They go through marital failures, social pressures, family expectations, and personal inner struggles, but in the end they choose to face it bravely and find their own happiness. At the same time, we see Chloe and Timothy reconcile for the sake of their child's future. Despite their broken relationship, they are willing to put aside their preconceived notions and share the responsibility of parenting for the sake of their child. This kind of compromise and sacrifice for the sake of the child's happiness shows us the greatness and selflessness of parental love.